tell you the story of a woman, before I tell you the story, some of you may wish to turn the volume down due to the content in this story. When this woman was a teenager in high school, some of her friends started talking about how painful first-time sex is and that there's lots of blood when a woman has sex for the first time. And that woman, when she was a teenager, started to hold a fear of sex within her. The teenage girl grew up and became a young woman, and one day she got married. After getting married, the young woman and her husband wanted to have sex for the first time. Now bear in mind, this young woman still had a fear of sex within her. So this newly married couple attempted to have sex, but the woman found it really painful to the point that it wasn't actually possible to have sex. The couple didn't understand why it was so difficult, and the woman didn't understand why it was so painful. Nonetheless, the couple put it down to first-time nerves, and they tried again a few days later. But the same thing happened. It was still really difficult and really painful. This ended up becoming a vicious cycle for weeks and months of many attempts of the sex being painful. The couple started to lose hope, and it put a really huge strain on the relationship in the marriage. And the woman became very critical of herself. One day, the woman felt as though she reached rock bottom, so she went online and started searching for solutions to painful sex. And in her research, she came across the term vaginismus. When this woman discovered that vaginismus is one of the causes of painful sex, the woman felt like it was this light bulb moment. She then discovered that she needed to learn how to relax her pelvic floor muscles in order for the sex to be pain-free. So she went on this journey of educating herself and learning how to relax her pelvic floor muscles. Eventually, she was able to have pain-free sex with her husband, and they all lived happily ever after, but not quite. So now the sex was pain-free, which was great, right? But the woman felt like there was something missing. Her husband was great, loving and caring, but the woman didn't really enjoy the sex. And not only that, the woman noticed that her desire for sex wasn't as high as her husband's. So again, the woman started to feel that there was something wrong with her, and again, she became critical of herself. So the woman went on another journey to educate herself on how to make the sex enjoyable and pleasurable, until one day she was able to experience orgasm. Sex became pleasurable, which led to an increase in the woman's desire for sex. And the woman learned about two different types of desire: spontaneous desire and responsive desire. And when she understood the difference, that changed everything. Now, because the woman overcame vaginismus, sex wasn't painful for her anymore. She was able to have penetrative sex, which meant that she was able to get pregnant. And that meant she was able to give birth to her kids. Her kids started to grow up, and they started to become curious and ask questions like, where do babies come from? And this woman, being the loving mother that she was, didn't want her kids, when they grow up and get into their own marriages, she didn't want her kids to go through difficulty. So this woman realized how important it is for her own kids to have a good quality sex education that's also in alignment with their faith. So she took it upon herself to educate her kids about their body, about sexuality, about intimacy in age-appropriate ways. Those kids grew up and were able to enjoy healthy sexual experiences within their own marriages. And that woman in the story realized how important it is for everyone to experience healthy, good quality, faith-aligned sex education before they get married, meaning when you're still single, when you're a child going into a teenager, into being a young adult. And so the woman started a business and created courses for all of those things that were mentioned. Now, if you didn't already guess, the woman in the story is me. I have 2 kids. They are still fairly young, but they've already received a very healthy sex education from me, and I know that will provide a good foundation for their intimate sexual experiences when they do get older and get married, inshallah. My courses are inclusive. They're not just for those who are married. In fact, if you're single, a single man or woman, I highly recommend you join my courses before you get married. And if you are already married, again, if you're a married man or woman, join my courses. Inshallah, you will find benefit in them in terms of your sexual experience within your marriage. And if you're a parent, I have a God-conscious sex education course for kids. All the details about my courses are in the caption below.